design in the open. Let people see what you are doing. Yeah, let people see what you are doing. Even though you are starting, let people see. It boils down to relationship. How did I meet this person that brought me on board? Was in church. Which people will say, if you don't know where you are going, everywhere will look like it. Still like a shining light. It shines bright and bright and bright. So at that point where you are, where you envision your future, it might not be grand, but once you step in, the picture becomes clear.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Amazing Exploits with Joshua Olani. On this very episode, joining us is a fantastic product designer, a media team lead, and recently a co-founder. We'll be diving into his story and learning to know about how his journey has been like and experiences that have shaped him and exciting things that he's working on currently. Welcome to the podcast, Eben.
Thank you so much.
How are you doing?
I'm super excited to be here.
Great to have you. Even you've been in design for about 7 years. You've done marketing designer, creative designer, brand designer, and all of that. Just tell us, how has been the journey in design so far?
I mean, it's been hectic. We'll not say it's been hectic, but there has been growth. There has been growth over time. It's sweet because you can, if you know where you're going.
Yeah.
If you know where you're going, the elements around your present state will help you move to where you're going. Yeah, basically. So it has been a very, very sweet journey. I will not lie. A sweet journey.
That's sweet. We'll dig deeper, right? I know that sweet means a lot of things. There's fulfillment, there's maybe money also, which I think is very important. So let's dial it back a bit. How did you get into design? When did you know that, okay, I'm creative, or I can put things together, put colors together and create something? Or like, when did you know that, okay, I think I want to become a designer? What was the journey like?
Yeah, so for me, environment played like a very major, a pivotal role in my becoming a designer. Back 2014, thereabout. So there's this compound where I live. There's a senior designer. He goes by Sage. As at 2014, he was designing for Mr. Biggs. Wow. He was designing for like top brands.
And those are like the big boys of that time.
So yeah, so anytime because he designed for about 70% of the franchise in Lagos. So anytime I move around Lagos or move around, when I see his designs, I see his designs like physically, not just when I see him designing on his laptop. I see those designs physically. I'll be like, these things are sweet. I started hanging around him, and right there, I picked interest in design.
Well, interesting. Would come back a bit to that. How did you develop your skill to the point? I know probably you started as a brand designer of visual and then now product, right? Were there courses you took at some point in time? Were there trainings or books? Yeah, how did you like improve on your skill?
So I actually started as like a marketing designer, where all I do on a daily basis was just design marketing,
social media
stuff and all that. But I just knew this, and thank God for social media. I just knew this wasn't the end point, basically. I mean, if you go online, as much as they will say, don't compare yourself with others, and I mean, you're not comparing yourself, you're just getting a clearer picture of where you are going. Yeah, basically. So going online, started seeing people doing full branding. So then I get to understand that, okay, there's something called branding. So how does it work? So I took courses, Udemy, and thank God for the company I was working with then. They did most of this stuff. Did from graphic design, did a branding. From branding. So lucky enough, after graphic design, as when there's growth, it will when you grow your craft or your skills, your demand, the kind of people that demand for you will be different. Demand for your skills will be different. So after upskilling myself, that's when I got my first tech job with a fintech. Right there and there, I knew again that okay, we need to.
There's something more.
There's something much more that we can do aside in as much that you can build a whole enterprise on branding. I'm not disputing that. I know people that are doing.
In terms of your own personality.
I knew where I was going. I wasn't going to do design for long. I wasn't going to do design for life, basically. At some point to transition. You get. So right there in there, I was doing brand design, but lucky enough, I made a request and the company foot my, what's it called, Udacity training course. They footed like about 70%.
Oh, wow.
That was quite huge. I completed the remaining, do product design, and ever since then I've been scaling, following people. I have mentors that I don't have them. I mean, these days when I see people just come into your DM, I want to learn. Bro, we never had that luxury of entering people's DM and say, yeah, all we do is follow them back to back. I have mentors that I follow, like the likes of Leye. We follow them back to back.
Seeing what they produce, what they create.
Yeah, seeing what they create over time. And there are tons of people I know in Ulua. There are plenty that I follow. A week cannot go by without me checking
to see if they posted something,
what they've done, and I don't need to chat them up. I don't need to be in their DM disturbing them.
So let's be a bit specific, right? I know you mentioned you did some courses for you to get into brand designing, and then you did some Udacity, Udemy. So what was like the title of the courses? I know there will be like young designers or people that just want to get into the UI UX career space and they don't know the right courses to take. Like, what are the title of those courses for the Udemy and then for the Udacity?
So even before you start paying for these expensive courses, what I started with was free. There are tons of
free
resources
tutorials and
on YouTube, even on the Udacity. There's an introductory class to product design, which is absolutely free. It's product design, UX, UI. It's absolutely free. You can take that. You see that you want to take it a step further. Then you can now pay. I even did. Leslie, I was part of the first, Overlay first cohort. I was part of the first cohort of
product design,
product design, UI UX. I was part of like the first cohort of Overlay. Did that for Udacity. I think the name of it was Nano Degree Product Design. I can't really tell the name of the exact name, but I knew I did Overlay, did the free one on Udacity before doing the paid one. Did Udemy and the likes. For Udemy, there are tons of, if you just type in the keyword UI UX, there are tons of, resources and courses and underboards. You see reviews, the one that has most reviews, the one that has like the most students that have passed through that course, basically.
So you can take it too.
And free resources on YouTube. Medium, read articles, read books. There are tons of free resources.
I was going to ask that, what pathway would you recommend for maybe junior designers or just people that want to get into the UI, UX or product design space? But from what you've said, I think you're already like building up that pathway, starting first with free resources. There are a lot of resources on YouTube, articles that you can enroll in, which are free, and then once, let's say, you now have resources available, maybe money, you can now take it a step further and pay for courses. Udemy, probably brand design courses, and let's say Udacity, they can just go ahead to still check Udacity for the nano degree, something in product design.
To chip into that, for YouTube, the information are not like, they're not together. I don't know.
You have a lot of videos, all
bits and pieces. Courses. But there are folks that they take it from the very beginning. Look for channels or folks that have design courses, like design courses class. Right from the very beginning, you see precept upon precept. So those ones, you can follow those ones to know that. But if you are doing bits and pieces, you are doing Kano theory today, you are doing double diamond you are doing double diamond Kinikon today, you are doing design thinking tomorrow. You're just speaking bits and pieces. There will be,
especially for a beginner, it will
be difficult to really have like a more compound knowledge about what you're about. Go to channels that have like playlists. Check. You see that they pick it from precept upon precept, line by line. They're picking those classes like that. Learn from it. You follow through those. Even if you are doing on PDFs, make sure that starting from the basics, you see the course, you see the outline of the PDF. Follow suit, because information on the internet is enormous. It's just there. If you don't structure it properly,
sometimes you even get overwhelmed and you eventually
do anything basically.
So you mentioned something that most times you don't necessarily have to go and enter people's DM asking that, do you want to be my mentor, come and teach me and all of that. I think there's a lot of mistakes that maybe young designers or young people will do. They'll just cold message or cold call people trying to say, oh, come and be my mentor. I think a lot of times that most times might not start well or might not even go well because those mentors are very busy. They have a lot of things. But you say something that you constantly just look out for them, follow them on maybe Twitter, LinkedIn. You're looking at what are they creating.
Any talk there, I'm there. I'm listening to it. I'm doing. And what even gave me all of these things is recently there was a guy like a acquaintance, not like a friend basically. He has been disturbing. He needed to learn I mean, even some of these I'm not a senior designer yet, but I can tell that some of these seniors are extremely busy.
Yeah.
So he has been, I want to learn design. I can't hold you by the hands and say, I want to teach you color, I want to teach you typography. There's some things you need to know on your own. Then you can now come, okay, based on your experience, what are these? So this guy really shook me. What he did was, after the whole disturbance because obviously I had no time, and he picked up design, started doing product design on the full scale. And I can tell you that he had three full case study before we started sitting down, reviewing what he has done and the like. And that really struck me because I still have some people in my DM still telling me I want to learn.
But they've not done anything.
Yeah, you've not done anything. You want me to hold you by the hands. Yeah, you get basically. No, it doesn't work that way. Even if you go to a dev police and say you want to talk to a senior designer there, they will ask you what have you done before. You can't just come and say you want to. No, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, you mentioned something that you were creating something probably over the week for your church, right? I know that you are very big on serving God and you're also big on faith. So how is it going? How important is serving God with your skill? Yeah, and how has it panned out working in church? How much of impact are you able to make with your skill?
So humorously, I call myself a church boy. Yeah. I don't care what opinion anybody has to say. I'm a church boy. I'm a lover of Christ. I'm a firm believer. And as that, it has reflected in my, my work. And one of the first places I had expression in design was a church. It was a church. And like I said, the organization that believes most in raw talent is the church.
And the barrier of entry is very low.
It's very low. You don't need, you can, if you ask some of these big boys in music and they'll tell you they started from the church and the likes. I've spoiled a gadget in the church and they'll just replace another one and you will still continue. I started it was a church, Victory Fountain Chapel. Yeah, that is why I started my, doing easy worship, doing Sunday design and all that. And then I was actually using their stuff to learn. To learn. Yeah. So church has always been so when I started, Winners Chapel, I was crowd control unit. I wasn't even doing design.
Yeah, you mentioned it at some point in time.
I was in crowd control unit for about 6 years.
Wow, that's a long time.
I wasn't doing design. I was in crowd control, but I just felt there was this 21 days fasting and prayer. I saw the design on the screen. I just felt a nudge in my spirit. You don't need God to tell you, my son.
Yeah. Or call your name 3 times.
Call your name 3 times before. So I just felt a nudge that, no, I think this is the time for shift, basically. And the way God works, apparently there was a friend of mine then that felt that same day that we saw it, around that time. If I felt that same nudge that, we need to move full time into the church media. And the church media then, it was, before you enter, is a lot. I know people that are like 6 months, a year, they've not
gotten to.
But when it is time, it is time. So what happened that Sunday? Me and this person, we just went to the unit and said, okay, we want to join your unit and all that. Do you know how funny it was that Sunday was the final Sunday for they have like 3 to 6 month training.
Oh, okay.
That Sunday was the final training.
One.
And that's only
That's
the
where you get that copy that
yeah, and they allowed us. We inducted, but we still went on to do training. But they inducted us, and that shows that when it is time, it is time. And we went on to shape the design. You can tell if you check the youth design from 2020. You can tell there was a shift from 2022.
From what it was previously.
Yeah, it was a team of designers. It wasn't just I alone. It was a team of designers. And from 2023, I had the privilege of like leading the team. Led Shiloh Design, the online, not the offline, because they are two different things. Yeah, led the online team, led the annual Youth Alive convention for like 3 years. Yeah, 3 years back to back, except, yeah. So it has been my major, and most people don't even know this about me because it's not my portfolio. It's not,
I know, right?
Yeah, it's not.
Me that know your style of design. I was like, see Shiloh's design. I'm like, this has a touch of Eben on this.
So yeah, I've always been, and I can tell you for a fact, there is no. I remember 2023. Yes, after the Youth Alive convention, before the Youth Alive, we rarely have time to pray because during those we design even into the night, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and 5 a.m. we are up again. We are designing. Yeah, I remember that 2023. I wrote what I needed. I wrote it down. What this is. Or the things I think about 5 or 6, I wrote it down, and I kid you not, the Youth Alive was August, and by December, I got in. And I had multiple offers. The same thing for Shiloh 2020, 2021, 2022. The only prayer point that I had was Exodus 23:25. He said, "Ye shall serve, and I will bless your bread, and I will take sickness away from thee." That was my only prayer point all through that Shiloh. And there has been no event that I served that there has not been like a testimony that follows suit. So regardless of what anybody will say, I'm a firm believer and I'm a church.
Continue to serve God. Like, I can pick a lot of things from what you say. The church is like a grooming place.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a very starting point, and the barrier of entry is like very low. So even if you don't have the skill yet, maybe in videography, in photography, in brand design or whatever, you can start from the church, give in, just serve, look for ways you can be valuable, and just reach out. Even though you don't have, you took that bold step that you just went there, and that happened to be the last time for their training, and then you got inducted, and then you continue training, and you've been able to make tremendous impact. Also, you mentioned how God does not fail his own. You are serving him, he still comes back, he still does to help you out. It sorts you out as you are helping and as you're serving. That's like pretty insightful, right? I believe that every young person out there can learn 1 or 2 things from your journey, knowing that serving God pays.
It pays a lot.
It pays, no matter what the people are saying.
There's one thing that my lead designer used to say in church then, and it has always stuck with me. Before we start serving, and after we finish the event, he will say, if it's the outside world, how much do you think what you've done is worth? And just tell God. That is what it, like, he will just, before now everybody goes to their various, but serving God really pays.
Yeah. No matter what you think you should be paid, God will run now.
Yeah,
small. So let's talk a bit. You designed the website of Federal Polytechnic Ilaro at some point in time. So tell us a bit about it. How did it happen? How was it like working on that project? I know you were probably in school at that time, and later on you went back again, right? So tell us a bit about it.
So I'm an introvert. So it all started my ND1. I have like a friend that his nephew or cousin, like a senior to him, he has like a club in the school. He has a club. The club, they teach people how to program and the likes. For me, I just want to do my thing, stay indoors and just basic. I don't want, this thing. So he kept on dragging me to go and see his elder brother. He kept dragging me that they will need my. So I gave in. I went to go and see this person. I said we need design. We did some flyer design, did all that. So, but during my ND2 project, after they came and we need to redesign the school website. And believe you me, I don't even know what product design was at that point. At that time, I don't know what product design was. I designed it, even though XD was rampant, but because I was stuck with brand design, I didn't really. I designed the entire website with Photoshop.
Wow.
It was heavy.
Funny enough, I hear people say this. There are people that have started designing way back. They designed purely on Photoshop. And because I did one course with MDS, he has designed a lot with Photoshop. And then when XD was popular too, they designed a lot. So you designed it completely in Photoshop.
I designed.
And the developer they were able to.
So I don't see till date. I don't know how they actually developed it, but there's what we call slicing too in Photoshop. You can slice the design, and I don't know how they developed that, but I just did some tutorial. But I designed the entire. It was two of us at that point. We were two designers at that point in time. We designed the entire website on Photoshop. That is when we left. But I think there was a redesign that happened again around 2022, 2023. That was when I was called upon. As at then, I was already using Figma and the likes. It was. We spent over 2 months because the files, only home page alone, we had to split into two. You see, file about 2 gig, 3 gig. Why? It was very, very heavy. But there was a rebrand that happened after about 2-3 years. I was called upon them. It was just I and the developers that graduated from the school. So we had redesigned so it sort of tells us that we don't neglect what's it called, being open and make friends basically. If I'd known this a very long time ago, maybe I would not be where I am today. Basically, be open, go out, see people, talk to people, basically.
Relationships are actually very, very powerful. I was reading somewhere that don't just build portfolios, build relationships, because a lot of the job opportunities, they don't just come from even just applying from your network. Someone will just recommend you for one funding or one grant or for one job opportunity.
And should I shock you? That same person that brought me for that I did Photoshop is the same person that brought me for the redesign. Is the same person right now. I did design a multi-currency app. It's still from that same person. Did a dashboard for the multi-currency app. It's still from this same person. So it sort of tells you just from one relationship, what a lot can come out of just one relationship, basically. So as you are designing, what people will say on Twitter, design in the open. Don't
just stay in your
design in the open. Let people see what you are doing. Let people see what you are doing. Even though you are starting, let people see. But now, don't now include. I know some people. You are blowing yourself out of proportion here, basically.
Don't show that this is where I am, this is what I'm doing.
Don't
so
go
whoever wants to give you feedback, but not trying to put yourself that you are among the biggest people.
Let's close it here.
Right. Yeah, so still a few things that I still got from what you have said, right? Showing up, and if, let's say, in your interaction with that same person, you did not have a good relationship or a good rapport, you were not respectful or polite, or maybe you were too focused on, maybe the person, I'm not sure how much the person paid you, then the money might not be a lot or commensurate to what but probably you delivered excellently, and then you delivered, you had a very good relation, and that's why it kept on calling you and calling you again. I think it's one thing that every one of us, whether young, at any level where we are, every opportunity we have, let's make sure that we give our very best, deliver well, and make sure that we keep nurturing our relationship. Don't just be I'm working with this person, I'll just do the person anyhow. But then that person can be a gateway to having bigger and better opportunities much later on. That's very, very insightful. Thank you very much. So let's talk a bit about Cosign. Yeah, I'm definitely going to ask you. And crypto is pretty interesting and confusing at the same time, right? My first attempt at doing a bit of buying crypto or buying Bitcoin was I created a Binance account, put in money there, bought the little worth of maybe 25,000 or 30,000 worth of Bitcoin. Maybe after 3 or 4 months, I wanted to sell. Wanting to sell now, all the people peer-to-peer that period, all the people listed up that if they bought from me, if I sold to them, I will make a gain. All of them were scam. So I kept on clicking they were not responding, or someone would say send it first before sending. I just knew that. So I now had to ask someone that I really want to sell this stuff. What should I? And I said, you are focusing on the first 4, first 5. You can't get anything. I just go down.
Before you get.
By the time I now went down to the people that are maybe authentic, I really wanted to sell. I was now selling at a loss. So after that time, I just everything crypto I needed. So tell us about Cosign. What do you guys do? And probably tell us about how the partnership or founding. How is it going?
Okay. So first, I think how we met was I'll start with how we met. How we met was we met in school.
Oh, still federal.
Yeah, federal police. So we met in school, and so when they went back for HND, I didn't go back because immediately I left ND, I started working.
Started making money.
So I started working with like a tech company after. So I think I worked with about 2 tech companies before going back for my HND. But they've been seeing my works, my stuff. They've seen that this guy has a bit of experience. And okay, so during my HND too, they just reached out to me. We have a project, this and that and all that. Can we partner together and start? And I saw it at that point. I had never done any product concerning crypto or Web3 basically. I'd never done anything regarding that. So I started doing my research and all that, and I loved it. And it's been a fantastic journey, to be very honest. And kudos to every blockchain engineer, Web3 developers. It's a lot because watching video just to understand how Web3 works and crypto, how it works, is a bit complex. Now to talk more of implementation itself,
and building something
that people will use, so it's a bit complex. So yeah, at Cosign, is a fully decentralized chain, and it's a self-custody wallet. It means that we do not have any of your details stored on you own everything. So if you are hacked, it's as a result of your own, basically. So it's decentralized, and there are a couple of features. You can pay bills with crypto. There's virtual dollar card. There's dApps, there's on-ramp. It's a lot that is packed. I believe when editing, you help us put our link. So
definitely. You can sign up for the wait list currently, and probably even before this episode might be out, maybe the products will have been out fully for people.
And check and read more about what Cosign does. And I really love the name. I really love the name. And we're just 3. That's how amazing it was. Just 3 people just focusing on the entire design process, the brand, the marketing, social media, and the product. And while the other 2 guys focused on like the engineering and the likes. So it's a whole lot. It took us about 1 year, 6 months.
Wow, so the point where it is. Yeah, really proud of how far you guys have come, and I know that the future is bright, right? I'm sure you guys will do much more exciting things, and it's going to be a successful product, by God's grace. So I was also going to ask that, what is it like being a non-technical co-founder? Right? There are a lot of maybe designers out there, product designers that are also looking for such collaborations. They also want to build stuff, right? And there are also like challenges, because a lot of these things we just know how to design the pixels. There are a lot of things that still entails in building the product. So what are like top challenges you faced being a non-technical co-founder, and how are you managing?
The other guys on the team, I mean, they have been very, very helpful. Because at some point, I ask questions if I don't understand, because Web3 is sort of vast, and it's sort of vast. And even after watching talks from Druids, Druids is like even after watching so many videos and all that, I still ask questions from this. How does it work? And it is. I will not say it's difficult, basically, but I mean that's our job, basically. So we try to find a way around the difficulty.
Make it as simple as possible.
As simple as possible. And at that point, I downloaded a lot of, even the ones that we don't have access to. Coinbase right now, you can't access Coinbase right now if you're in Nigeria. You have to have some sort of account outside
to use
Coinbase and So installed app just to understand, and the guys were very, very helpful. If I'm at a crossroad, we have calls almost all the time, basically.
Oh, yeah, you mentioned something. Collaboration is very important, and asking questions.
Yeah.
I think that especially at junior levels, that's what a lot of juniors most times don't do. They just get a task, even if it's just a purely brand design task. They just dive into Figma and try to struggle with it and not really find out what is the exact problem we are trying to solve for. So at least you can like create the best solution. And in collaborating, so being very open, ask questions, and people are like very, very ready to help.
I mean, to the point that if we are working on a feature, they will show me the data set. Like they will enter the code, show me the data set that entails. So I will have an idea. So for example, for NFT, we know like there's image, the title of the NFT, the description, and the price, basically. So once you see those data sets, it can inform the kind of design that you're doing, the UI you're doing. All
right, that's very, very insightful. And for those of us that are not very used to the Web3 space and crypto, we still need to do a lot of maybe watching videos and like asking questions. It's also, I've always been very interested in that area, but I think now it's like a big motivation.
There's a YouTube channel that I can recommend.
Oh, okay.
The way they explain crypto, someone from secondary school would understand. It's called Whiteboard Crypto.
Whiteboard Crypto.
They explain in like a story, in a story form. They explain DeFi, on-ramps, DEX, everything, contracts, how contract works in crypto. They explained it like very detailed about it. It is in a story form that is not boring, basically. You can sit down on it for 3 hours and you're watching it. It's super, super interesting.
Oh, nice. You guys should check it out. Whiteboard Crypto on YouTube.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Eben, I also know that you are building or very involved in building Poga, probably an escrow payment.
Yeah.
Let us know what is it all about and how is it like building and working on Poga?
So for Poga is a payment platform where we help buyers and vendors build trust, basically. I know escrow is not like a thing here in Nigeria or in this part of our world, but in countries, well-advanced countries, escrow is a major thing there. So what we do basically is help you if you're building, if you're working with a developer, you're working with a designer, we help you hold your funds. You already create like an agreement between the seller or service and the person that owns the project. You create an agreement, and then once the person agrees, the funds is released. The other party sees the funds, but until you're done with the project,
before
the funds is released. And another sweet part about Poga is that we have like sort of like a marketplace. So I can't fully disclose that because basic product. It's a fantastic product, and I like a founding designer there shaping the brand and product as well on Poga.
Well, very, very inspiring. Eben is inspiring also. At least because I know that these are things that we once like dreamt of or looked forward to doing, right? Beyond just, because that's like the beauty where at first you start just designing people's product, but now gradually in your career journey, you can grow to the point where you now you think of ideas and you can now decide to build them. Collaborating and all of that. And most times you can't do it all alone. You still have to like collaborate with developers, with other people, and you have partners, co-founding, and it's just very beautiful to see what started as an ideation to now like a product that people can use helping them solve problems. Because I know Nigeria, there's a lot of challenges where you've already paid the vendor or something, and then they don't deliver, or they deliver very late, or you are calling them. But at least if you have a platform that holds the funds, that builds trust, and then once I deliver the service, I know that I'm
the
going
funds
to
is released.
And
it boils down to relationship. How did I meet this person that brought me on board? It was in church.
Wow.
We served.
You guys should go to church. I'm going to say, I'm just joking.
So we met in church. It's not. So during our convention, we have people from outside station, designers from outside station. They come to Canaan land, so we design together. That's how I met. Someone introduced me to him, and from there it has been from one project to another, basically.
Well, that's beautiful. That's the power of relationship. So let's talk a bit more. When you're talking about your other founders on Cosign, you mentioned it was in school, right?
Yeah.
And you still went back to go and to do your HND too.
Yeah.
How important is education? I know from that you have a lot of relationships already, but like I still want to hear from you. How important is education? There are people that maybe they just know that they are very skilled, but they just feel that I don't think I need to continue this. Maybe I just want to drop out, or I don't just want to go to school. What would you say?
So,
as I know, first you left it, you're making money, you still went back again. So what would you say?
So for me, I feel like education is a necessity. For me, is a necessity, and the kind of world that we find ourselves in the tech space, basically, is it's important. Like it's important, but it's not a yardstick. We've seen people who did physics in school, and they are product designers. We've seen people who studied agriculture in school,
probably bankers.
Bankers, and they are product. We've seen those who did accountancy in school, and they're product designers or developers, basically. So, but it's not like it's. I was already working with a tech firm at the point where I finished my ND. And at no point in time did they request. I mean, they will tell you this is what we need, but it's not what have you done.
Once you can show that.
What can you do? Then your certificate becomes secondary. But in fields like medicine, engineering, please take it serious.
Yeah, no, it does go.
Yeah, you have to. It's a must. But even as tech guys or product designers and the likes, please. I know that there's a saying that you don't need it, but you actually need it, to be very honest. Most of these top guys, most of them, if you check them, most of them, they all went.
Some even have multiple degrees.
They have some even have masters. So don't let anybody tell you otherwise, that you don't need. Once you're in tech, you don't need education. You need it. As you need it.
Like very valuable. Might not get you into the door, but then can still help you grow and can still be like a differential.
In as much as your skill comes first in some certain fields, they will still at some point ask for your degrees.
And that discipline you also get from education, where you know that, this is just like a regimen for this period. I need to show up to classes, write the exam. That also force you to...
It's a whole lot. No, everybody has a story to tell when it comes to Nigerian, especially if you go to like a federal school or... Everybody has a story. It's rigorous. People are like, you are literally forged like from the fire. You see people going to classes. You do assignments. You get rigid. You get study basically.
And that alone will still transcend to how we work in our business, being responsible for our life, and know that I need to get something out of it. Let's talk about artificial intelligence and design. It's commonly trending now that they'll say AI will replace some jobs. What do you think? And then what do you think is the future of artificial intelligence?
Yeah, so I feel like we cannot remove the human factor from design. We will still always need like humans on it, because those that are using your product are humans, are not AI. Even the AI were built and designed by humans.
Putting things together.
Yeah, putting things together, and over time learns and becomes more intelligent. That's what I call artificial intelligence. So it becomes more intelligent. But I'd say, we just need to embrace it, basically. We can't, it cannot replace. The people it will replace is if you are doing the bare minimum, and that is when AI is going to replace that person. But come to think of it, AI it will replace, like I said, bare minimum. If you're doing the bare minimum, not going extra length and the like.
Crafts, user needs, thinking through all of those
design thinking itself.
Solving problems, not just...
we have AIs that can create logos and the likes, but that has not removed the fact that Pentagram is still creating brands. It's still creating brands. It's still creating full branding, rebranding for top brands. What we can do is add AI, infuse AI into our daily...
Help improve our productivity, our speed.
Speed up our process. One of the things that I use my AI for is if I'm designing a product, you feel like the content there is more like it's the original content.
Yeah, true. Instead of just having Lorem Ipsum or just
once
putting
in this
stuff.
age and time, once I see Lorem Ipsum on your design, I just feel like no.
You never ready.
No. I just feel like if I'm seeing Lorem Ipsum on your design, I mean, you just go to any of these.
Tell it what you're doing.
Tell you
and
what
then
you
get
want.
Exact content.
I mean, and if you don't want it to sound too machinish and the likes, there are platforms that can help you get prompts. Generate, you type your normal English, it will generate a prompt, and then you take it back to these platforms and then generate what
I even learned recently that to even get the best responses from like ChatGPT, you can ask it that, okay, I want to do this. What kind of prompt should I give to it? Whatever I like give you, that's what you like give it again. And that will like help. And also recently, you give it context, you give it like divided into like 4 different, like whatever you want, divide into what you want, give it context and one other stuff like that. So by the time you feed it with that information, it gives you like very, very good results. I would love to also ask, what are your favorite AI tools that you're using now that maybe a week will not go past that you're using that is helpful in your design journey?
It's DeepSeek and ChatGPT. And there's a site where I generate my prompt from when I type my normal English, and it generates like a more appropriate prompt that I can use on ChatGPT. I can't remember the site because it's pinned. It's always pinned on my browser.
Go straight and then
I will go straight to it and generate my prompt, then take it to. I was working with a client recently. The person do not really understand like content and the likes, and I generated like a content structure and copies for the entire website. When the person saw it, and the person loved it. The person was, I'm not the one. I'm not the one. But so after then, the person can now start tweaking
that's the power
basically.
At least to get you started. It helps you overcome the initial friction that, where will I go from? How will I label it? But once you put it there and then you have something to work with, you can now like fine tune.
And even your product, it can help you with understanding the market, getting metrics and the likes. You can ask it of metrics. So if you're working on a fintech project or a property, it gets you competitive analysis. It's not threatening anybody's job. It's just making sure you infuse it with your work, make it faster, and making your work look more professional, basically.
All right, what should we be expecting from Eben in the future? I know some are like perfectly under the wraps that are not going out now, but what are like interesting stuff you have ahead that we can look out for?
So one of the major things that I've looked forward to is having like a product that is people's. But one of the major things that I want to do is making sure having a product that helps the youth basically. I'm still trying to wrap my head around doing research, market survey and the likes, talking to some of these young folks so that we can take them off. I mean, if you go to TikTok right now, you just see they're not doing anything important. There's nothing significant.
Just is the rave of the moment. Spending hours and hours and hours.
Spending hours on it. How can we take them? Because the future of a nation, it's in the youth, and if the youth are not in the right course, I mean, if you go to TikTok, you ask yourself, what lies ahead the future of Nigeria, except for fewer folks that we are seeing on Twitter in the tech space. We've seen young folks coming up with exciting products. We've seen Njoku. There are a lot of young folks coming to exciting products. That gives us like a bit of hope that the future is going to be bright. And aside that, we still need to work on some of these folks who are not seeing the light yet. Basically.
More like very clueless for now, or they're just not sure the exact direction. They just know that content creation is the in thing now. People are doing it. Let me just.
And the funny thing is, they're not even doing content creation. You're just going to TikTok and miming.
And replacing and doing. And funny enough, our own counterparts, young people in those other countries, they are still doing much more productive stuff. They are making stuffs in China. From a very, very young age, they are building a lot of stuff. And
most of our podcasts are dominated by millennials. We are not seeing podcasts of like Gen Zs or Alpha Gen Zs coming up with talks, really impactful talks and the like. We're not seeing that kind of, and we just, there has to be something that takes them off or that redefines their mind, basically. So a product in the line of that.
That would be a very interesting project and also impactful, reaching out to the younger ones and helping them focus and channeling their strength much more early, so that because eventually I think it's still going to dawn on people, right?
Yeah.
When the content is a bit crowded now, but then it's not really sustainable. We must be able to like provide a very significant value,
Yeah.
and our young age is that time where we need to put in the work, learn,
basically.
take courses and all of that. Hey, that would be a very interesting project. We'll be looking out and looking forward to seeing that live. So, all right, in wrapping up our conversation for this episode, what would be like your final words to maybe young designers that are trying to find a headway? They want to scale up. They also want to build products like you're doing also. What would be your final advice for them?
So for me, like, I remember I jumped on like an IG live, late 2022.
Yeah.
And one of the questions that the person asked me is, where do you see yourself in the next? So for every young person doing one or two things, it's not limited to just design alone. You have to look beyond your present state. You have to look beyond, okay, what do I want to achieve in the next 5 years? Where do you see yourself? We know there's this funny, what do you say in the next 5 years? To say 2030. We all know.
Yeah.
But where do you see yourself? What do you see yourself actually doing with your craft? I remember on that IG live, when the person asked me, it was impromptu. I said, I see myself co-owning like a product in the nearest future. And as at then, I was just, it works and all that. I don't even understand how it works. But I had like that mindset, like my Bishop Eduku will say, if you don't know where you're going, everywhere will look like it. So you need to know where you're going. It might not be big, it might not be, and there's a popular scripture that says, the path of a just is like a shining light. It shines bright and bright and bright. So at that point where you are, where you envision your future, it might not be grand, but once you step in, it becomes
the
clear.
Begins to form, and it becomes more clearer.
If you ask me then, what product am I looking forward to?
I don't know the
I didn't even know. I was just designing, doing normal brand design, showing up and all that. But I knew that what I wanted to do in the net, is to co-own a product with some intelligent and some well-intentional folks, basically. So for everyone, know right from, even while you are doing internship, know where you are going. I always look at the bigger picture. You might not be clear. That's the funniest thing. You might not be clear. Even during your internship, you might just see yourself as a product designer, but once you step into it, it becomes clearer. And once you get to another stage,
dream for something bigger. Yeah, for something higher.
That's why the path is like a shining light, and there's no end. There's no end to it.
You don't start from the brightest point.
Yeah, no. Yeah. That's why even if you ask Google, Google is like, where they started from was not. But as you keep progressing, you keep becoming big. It keeps becoming shining until we move to our Father in heaven.
Exactly. After the stress and
we transcend.
Leave finally with our Father, right? Very, very insightful. What you say, like, if you don't know where exactly you are going, every place will look like the destination or where you are going to. That was like very, very insightful.
Because they are making money in
you want to
development. I've seen people wasted time because there's money in front end.
To move to front end.
You move to front end.
Now let you know that
there's
back end.
You move to back end. There's money.
Now again, what is even training like maybe finance bros. Like maybe once you do some particular exams like that, or you get into the top 4 of them, maybe Deloitte, KPMG, your life will just someone that is starting this then like there's that finance bro.
We've seen folks like senior men like Abeg, Dari. The founder and co-founder, the founder and CEO of Abeg was a designer. And from there, he started as a designer. He co-founded the product, and from there, the product got acquired. And now we're not even seeing his brake light anywhere.
Probably will moved to something more interesting. Or just
so basically, if stick to it, don't because there's something somewhere that is making $1 million, you want to just switch to it. There should be like a reason why you're doing what you're doing. And like I said, if you know where you're going, There will be no distractions from
just focus.
You focus.
It's good to know that even as designers, we can do stuff, amazing stuff. Once we put in the work, we put in the time, we put in the effort to be able to, maybe your goal is to build products or to just be recognized even globally. It's also exciting that recently I've started to see that there are now designers even getting the global talent, UK global talent. That shows that, okay, our works are being recognized in those companies, because you can't just, in all of the documents you need to submit, you tell them things that your designs are doing, impact that is making in those companies, and before you know, you'd get recognized for whatever you are doing. That is like very, very interesting way to like wrap up and like share with young people that are also aspiring to grow in their career. Thank you very much for that. Quick fireside questions for Eben to wrap up this particular episode. So don't think too much. Just like say your answer.
I'm nervous.
Just say your answer fast. Trackpad or mouse?
It's mouse. Oh.
Ah, wow. So
all the way.
Lay together. We trackpad. I think I know how to use both. When we were working at medical, I still used a bit of mouse.
No, if you want to be fast
and all of that, it has to be mouse. Mac or Windows?
I want to be biased, right?
Because you have both. Pick one.
Yeah,
your go-to.
My go-to.
Yeah, that you can trust.
They can trust any day, anytime. Because I'm a designer, so it's basically Mac.
Mac, yeah. All right. Notion or Google Docs?
It's Google Docs.
Google Docs. And Notion feels hard.
So I feel like Notion, I feel like it's just, I still use it, but I feel like it's complex.
Yeah, it just looks, he has this. Yeah. But since once you get the good grasp of it,
you fully understand.
Yeah, good to go. Light or dark mode?
It's dark mode all the way.
Anytime.
Even for your eyes, it's dark mode.
Dark mode. All right. Coffee or tea?
It's coffee.
Coffee, right. Movies or games?
Yeah, movies.
Movies.
It's movies. Okay. I mean, crime movies, finance, fraud, documentaries about fraud. Just basically documentaries and movies. And series.
Nice. Books or podcasts?
Books.
Books. And then lastly, music while walking or total silence?
Music. It's music.
I like to feel in the mood.
Yeah, I have to be there.
But then every time, sometimes when I design, I'll get some point where I really need to think through something. I'll first off the music.
So once you get your grasp, you get your
groove going.
You keep flowing, but at some point you need critical thinking. You first pause the music, remove everything you plugged on, and to think properly.
All right, thank you very much. It has been an insightful and impactful conversation with Eben. Super excited for what Eben is building, and then we also learned a lot of things from what Eben has shared today. For maybe sometimes in the future again, we'll still bring Eben on the podcast again to share with us how the journey has still been, new stuff that he has also built. Thank you guys for watching this particular episode. Thank you, Ben, for
Thank you so much for having me.
Really
I sincerely appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Your presence. Thank you.
And he's our senior designer.
We try small, right? Yeah, so thank you guys for watching. If you guys liked or you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and let me know in the comment section which stuffs from the video did you pick or that you'll be working on that you felt really, really valuable. And then we'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye.
Bye.